What up, everybody? Jonny Ward here of Jonny Ward Horror. I used to host a podcast a long time ago, the Nerdyverse of Madness. It's kind of dead in the water. Might come back alive, you never know. Zombie shit. Stuff happens. But I really wanted to repost this interview that I did with one of my favorite authors of all time, Judith Sonnet, from a long time ago. It's kind of funny because I had only read 2 of her books at the time, and I was a little starstruck, oddly enough, and it was rife with technical errors, which I edited the most out of. But it's funny, as I was editing this video and listening back on it, I've seen how much I've grown, and I was reposting a review to my new website, jonnyward.com. And I was just thinking about how much she has grown as an author and how much more of her back catalog I've read since then. It was just really funny. So about 40 minutes. Ignore the Nerdyverse intro. I didn't take that out because I still love it. Enjoy. What up, everybody? Jonny Ward here with another episode of the Nerdyverse of Madness. This one is super exciting for me. I have an interview with the morbid Judith Sonnet, author of No One Rides for Free, as well as many other disgusting books. If you know No One Rides for Free, you know what's up. If you don't know what No One Rides for Free is, go in blind, but be warned, it's not your average horror book at all. We had some technical difficulties in here, which I hope to edit out pretty smoothly. I think it'll be, I don't even think you'll notice it. And we were originally supposed to meet on Sunday, but it's Tuesday today, and I am just so appreciative of Judith taking the time out of her day to meet me on a weekday and kind of get this out there. Without further ado, I'm going to get right on into it. Here we go.
In nerddom is at an all-time high. Where once we hid in our parents' basements, everyone is stepping out into the light and embracing fandoms with a newfound vigor. One man hopes to gather and speak with them all. This is the place where all fans can come and discuss the things they love, the things they hate, and maybe, just maybe, discover something new to devote all their time to. Welcome to the Nerd Podcast to rule them all. Prepare to fall into the Nerdyverse of Madness.
Hey everybody, Jonny Ward here with another episode of the Nerdyverse of Madness, and today I have a morbid, disgusting, and I mean that in the most wonderful way, the amazing Judith Sonnet. How are you today?
Hi, doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So tell us a little bit about yourself, for anyone who might not be familiar with your works.
So I am a splatterpunk author. I've been writing pretty consistently since late 2021. I mean, I've been writing since before that, but publishing since then. I wrote No One Rides for Free, Beast of Burden, Psych Ward Blues. Some of my books are popular and some of them aren't.
Okay, perfect. Well, let's kind of start with the horror genre. You use the moniker full-time horror junkie along kind of all platforms. When did you start getting into horror?
So I've been interested in horror for since I was in elementary school and I first read Goosebumps.
Nice.
But I really got into it around middle school, specifically in 8th grade, which was the year I was introduced to Richard Lehman. And that's when it went from just being like something I was interested in to being a full-on obsession for me.
Oh, I'm actually reading my first layman right now.
Oh my God, which one?
The Stake.
That one's so fucking good.
It's really good. I love the pacing of it. I feel like I'm reading like a culty horror movie, and
Yeah,
his pacing's great.
his books, every one of them feels so cinematic, which is why it's bizarre that only one of them has been made into a movie, and it was a really independent, low budget, like college project movie. It wasn't a big Hollywood one.
Which one was that?
In the Dark.
In the
I
Dark.
think the whole thing, you can see it on YouTube, and
Okay.
it's pretty good. They had to change the ending for budgetary reasons, but it follows that like really snappy layman dialogue almost perfectly.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'm big on reading physical copies, and I have The Cellar upstairs, which I think was his first book, and then I have a copy of Endless Night somewhere, which I heard was also really good.
Yeah, Endless Night was the first one I really fell in love with.
Well, you're always making posts about retro paperbacks, and I've seen some I'm kind of familiar with and some I've never heard of. Have you been collecting them forever? Did that start with your layman days, or?
Yeah, I mean, back when I was growing up, a lot of the times the best place to get books was just from Goodwills and thrift stores. I didn't really use Amazon, and I never had an e-reader or anything like that. So most of my books I bought for a couple cents or $1 at a thrift store. Now these books go for like hundreds of dollars, but to me it was just like, oh, there's a million of them in these stores.
Yeah, it's crazy. I've found a couple, and then I look at them on eBay or on various accounts, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like they're going for so much. It's unbelievable sometimes. Um, Now you also post a lot of obscure horror movies that I've never heard anything about. Where did your love for obscure horror come? Like where are you getting these recommendations?
Oh, that came around the same time as my love for reading and books. Because I'd read like Stephen King books and then want to see the movies afterwards. And so like I think some of the first like horror movies I really watched were things like Misery and The Shining and things like that. Before then, growing up though, I loved a lot of the '50s science fiction movies, the black and white things like The Day the Earth Stood Still was a favorite of mine, and Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Okay, yeah.
So it kind of evolved from that. And now I just kind of I get my recommendations from all over the place. I've got friends that are into the same movies I am, but a lot of times it just takes going to a store and picking up a physical copy of a movie and seeing how it is. I'm always advocating for physical media and for people to go out and search for movies and not rely on the internet to tell them what to see, because it's easy to let other people kind of decide what you think of a movie before you see it if you're only learning about it online. And it's much better to just pick up the thing and watch it yourself.
Actually, two of my favorite horror movies that I've ever found were VHS tapes that I found in a thrift store. It was, I think it's Go Ask Alice, which is considered one of the early, I think it's Don't Ask Alice. I could be messing that up. And the other one was The Unholy, which was a really...
Oh, I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that.
The hell sequence at the end of that movie has inspired a lot of my writing.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that was fantastic. And it's so great not hearing anything and then being totally blown away by it.
Right.
Now, if you were to recommend me 3 horror movies that I maybe have not heard of, what would be your top 3? Or some of your top ones, if you can't narrow it down to 3.
So recently there was a movie called The Wolf of Snow Hollow. Have you seen that?
I have not. No.
It's fantastic. I think it came out around 2020, like during the pandemic, so it got kind of swept under the rug.
Okay.
But it's a werewolf / police procedural / dark comedy about a cop struggling with alcoholism. And it's amazingly written, really well edited. It has kind of a almost like 70s editing style to it, but it's not
nice.
set in the 70s. It's not a throwback or anything like that. It's just go into it as blind as possible because it has a
Okay.
yeah. There was a Italian movie called The Church, produced by Dario Argento,
Okay.
and it's another one that's had a lot of influence on my writing and kind of the whole dream logic visual thing that goes into it. Lots of demons, lots of weird kills.
Nice.
It's a great movie.
And what year is that?
I can't remember. I think it was like 1989 or 19. And last, I would suggest The Amazing Transplant. It's a 1960s kind of roughy sleaze film directed by Doris Wishman about a man who gets a penis transplant and ends up with the penis of a serial rapist.
Interesting.
And it's very over the top and very fun and very gross.
Okay. And I would ask you the same thing, 3 horror books that maybe I've not heard of.
Well, speaking of penises, I really love The Wood Witch, written by Stephen Gregory. It is a British story of a abusive man who is forced to go on leave from work after he hits a coworker, and he becomes obsessed with a penis-shaped fungus that he finds in the woods.
Interesting.
It has kind of like an A24 slow burn folk horror vibe to it.
Okay.
But it's got a lot of funguses.
Okay. Is that an older one?
It is. I can't remember what year it came out in.
Okay.
Another one I would suggest is Chet Williamson's Dreamthorpe.
Dreamthorpe. Okay.
Yeah, that one. It's a great, like, the whole town is haunted type story.
Okay.
The less you know about it, the better. It's got a lot of great gore to it, a lot of really good characters, kind of a rape and revenge subplot to it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's fantastic. And last, I'm looking at my shelves. You know, I really love, it's hard to find, Eat Them Alive, written by Pierce Nace. It's from the 70s, and it's about a man who is double-crossed after a house robbery goes wrong. And he ends up finding these giant praying mantises on an island and trains them to kill so he can go after the people who wronged him.
Okay, I think I might try and get that one first.
It's great. It's very hard to find, but it's worth searching for.
I was obsessed with praying mantises when I was younger. I found one, and it was like the most amazing day of my life.
You'll get your fill of them in that book. There's an endless supply of praying mantises.
Oh, they're such a fascinating insect. All right, well, I'm going to move on to No One Writes for Free. I mean, I have to say, for something so short and so disgusting and just vile and violent, I was amazed by how attached I got to the characters in such a short amount of time. And I thought it was just so amazing that you were able to do that. And you wrote, edited, and published it in 10 days. That's correct?
Yeah, that was the first time I did what we called the 10-day challenge. And
what inspired that? Because you've done it with magic. Okay.
It was mostly done out of spite. Someone said you couldn't do it, and I said, "Well, watch me," and I did it.
And is magic the only other one you've done with it? I haven't read that one yet.
No, Magic, Bloodsuck. There was the Splatter Crimes books that I did with Brian G. Berry and Otis Bateman. And then the last one I did was called Eels. And after that, I think I'm kind of done with the 10-day challenge.
Okay.
Yeah.
What inspired the story for No One Rides for Free? Obviously, there was spite to do it in 10 days, but was it kind of an idea you had and you were working with a bit, or did you sit down and just shoot it out?
Yeah, so I actually, that one was based on a dream that I had, where I got in a car, and I don't drive, so me
Okay.
being in a car was kind of weird for that dream.
Yeah.
And I looked in the back seat, and there was a man with a gun. And I woke up, and that idea of getting in your car and having someone with a gun suddenly show up in there was what inspired the book.
Okay. And
Um,
um, what what inspired you to throw the family in there? Like, how did you get the idea that she was driving her kids across?
I think it just kind of came natural to the story. You don't want to have too many characters because then you bog your story down. So the idea of a single mother and two very connected kids was kind of automatic for that story.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I love that people can turn their hobbies and passions into kind of full-time careers, and this was the book that allowed you to write full-time, right?
Yeah, which is still bizarre to me, because I wrote this book thinking, oh, this will only stay in like the splatterpunk circle because it's so over the top, and I got a lot of things in it that you're kind of not supposed to do with mainstream books. And then all of a sudden, people found No One Rides for Free, and it was spreading all over TikTok and Facebook and all the social media apps. Um, I made enough money off of it to quit my job and move to Utah.
Oh, that's great. Now, how long were you writing? So you've been writing for a long time, but
Yeah,
publishing a little bit shorter,
yeah. So
obviously.
I've been writing since I was a kid. The first book I wrote was a ripoff of Arthur Conan Doyle's The Lost World
Okay.
that I wrote in three composition notebooks when I was around like 9 years old, I think. I wish I still had those composition notebooks. I bet they're terrible. But so throughout high school and my 1 year of college and then the years afterwards, I'd been writing. But it wasn't until like I think 2019 was when my first book came out. And then around late 2021 was when I discovered self-publishing and went that route. Was able to put a lot more work out.
Okay. And what was your first book that you
It
published?
was called We Have Summoned. It's a folk horror book. A few friends had started a very small press, which
Okay.
I think is shut down now, but they put that book out.
Okay. And now, how many books have you published since No One Rides for Free?
Oh, I don't even know. I kind of don't keep track.
And how many were self-publishing was before No One Rides for
Yeah,
Free?
self-publishing, No One Rides, and until recently, I've kind of only been self-publishing. But now I'm kind of working with smaller presses, and then every now and then I'll put something out myself, like scraps.
Yeah, yeah. I gotta grab a copy of that. I know it's cheap on Godless. I gotta get a copy of that.
Yeah,
Now, was it in,
I'm still doing a lot of self-publishing now, but I'm like kind of slowly weaning away and doing more of the indie small press stuff.
okay. Yeah, that is really exciting. I think I read a post the other day that the next one you're putting out, you're getting an overwhelmingly amazing uh, submissions for your new book that they're so good you can't narrow them
Oh my
down.
God.
So
Yeah, so that's it's an anthology of quiet horror, which is
yes, that's
kind of the
correct.
opposite of what I've been writing. And so I didn't know, I didn't really expect like many people to jump on that, but every day I open my email and I've got like 8 new short story to reads and they've all been amazing. So I'm really struggling to pick just six for that anthology.
Sounds like a good problem to have, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, what was the transition like from doing a job, working full time, writing when you can, and then fully being able to kind of have that freedom. Was it an easy transition? Did you like your job, or was it kind of
Yeah.
a thank
So
God?
I worked at the hospital doing food services, and it was great. I loved that job. It was fantastic. But I wrote just as kind of adamantly as I do now. I get off at 2 and I go home and I'd write until it was time to go to sleep, and then I go to work the next day. Um,
Okay.
and so a lot of my time at work was spent thinking of like, what am I going to write when I'm off work? So not too much has changed.
Okay. And other than sort of the freedom to do what you want, has no one writes for free affected your life in any other ways that you may not have expected? Or
I mean, it's been great for recognition in the horror world. It's been cool that there's like one book that so many people have read and so many people have varying opinions on. I love divisive media, and I love that this is a book that people either love or hate. And so it's really cool that I get to kind of sit back and watch people discuss this thing that I made.
yeah, there is really no kind of in between with it that I've seen. It's either they do love it or they do hate it.
Yeah, and the second one's even crazier. So we're excited to see how people respond to that.
And when is that one coming out? Do you have a date yet?
Don't have a date for that yet. It is going to be published through Slaughterhouse Press,
Okay.
which is Brian G. Barry's new press.
Okay.
We're very excited. We're finishing up editing now. We'll have a date pretty soon.
Perfect. And one of the things that I loved about the cover, what actually drove me to pick it up was the cover. And I know you gave a shout out to the artist at the end. And eh, obviously, if you love retro horror, you have a love for art. Do you when you're looking for the covers of your book, are you kind of looking through multiple options, or as you're writing, do you see something, or do you kind of think of how you want it, find something? What's the process there?
Yeah, so it used to be like just because it's what I could afford, I did pre-made covers.
Okay.
So there was a site that offered pre-made covers, and I looked through those and choose what I wanted. And then I met Christy Aldridge and Ruth Anna Evans, who do pre-made covers, and they did a great job. And they were cool about like if I had a very specific idea, I could get them to do some custom stuff. Recently, it's been cool because like doing Low Blasphemy through Madness Heart Press, and No One Writes for Free, Absolute Chaos through Slaughterhouse Press. Someone else is in charge of getting the covers made,
Oh,
and
okay.
I just have to approve it. And what they did for Low Blasphemy was incredible. I don't know if you've seen that cover, but Luke Spooner did it, and it just blew me away when they emailed that to me and were like, "So what do you think of this?" I'm like, "I think it's amazing."
I do
Uh,
have that one sitting in my Amazon cart right now.
yeah, that cover is fantastic. I'm really happy with it.
Now,
Um, but yeah,
is
everything I've worked with stock images a lot, and now I'm kind of moving away from that and doing more of the handmade, hand drawn stuff, which I'm happy I can afford now.
yeah, absolutely. And do you like that someone else is kind of taking care of that for you? Do you miss kind of the hands-on of self-publishing at all? Or
Well, it's nice because like doing the anthologies, and I've still got a few books that I'm planning on self publishing before I'm totally into the small press scene. So I still get to approve of these things. So it's very much my choice, but it's also nice not having to worry about it as much.
it
So,
gives you more time to focus on writing, I imagine.
yeah.
Now, if you were to pick a favorite book of yours, what would it be?
Mine is Beast of Burden.
Okay,
That is the one I am proudest of.
that's the only other one I've read. I got a copy of Tapeworm upstairs. That's
Oh,
just
good.
short, but Beast of Burden was fantastic. I really
Yeah.
connected with that main character, and I'm a huge fan of black metal, so it just seemed a natural pick. I really liked that one.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, there's a lot of I grew up in the Midwest in Missouri, and there was a kind of underground metal scene there that I loosely was like a part of, and I would show up and talk about music with these people. I never played music, so I would have been the person sitting in the garage listening to the musicians, and I kind of gleaned a lot of those types of characters and put them in that book.
Oh, that's perfect. I was a member of the punk scene in well, it's not little really, but London, Ontario, up about 2 hours south of Toronto in Canada. I was in a band for a little bit as a vocalist, but I did spend much more of my time kind of as observer, sitting in jam rooms, going to shows and stuff like that. But it was just kind of a natural progression to black metal. I watched this documentary, I know it's on YouTube, called One Man Metal. I'm not sure if you're familiar
I
with
haven't
it.
seen that. Yeah.
It's about three one-man black metal projects. They do all the instruments and everything like that. Kind of the more depressive black metal. It was a very fascinating documentary. I really enjoyed it. You should check it out.
I'm gonna check that out. Yeah.
Now, I do have a lot of followers that are really big fans of yours, and I did have some of them kind of compile a few questions. I don't have too many, but I'd love to kind of ask you them, shoot them out your way.
Yeah, go for it.
So I have Ellie, who goes as your spooky mom.
Oh, I love her. She's great.
Yeah, she wanted to know if you ever saw No One Rides for Free being so beloved by the community. I think we kind of
No.
touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, so again, like I really wrote that thinking it would stay in a small circle.
Yes.
And I was shocked when it went viral. And I'm like, that book? That's the one that goes viral? All right. But I'm really proud of it. I'm really happy with that book. And I'm happy that so many people felt so strongly about it. They wanted to talk about it.
Now, I'd like to go back a little bit. Now, you said TikTok got a hold of it. Was it gradual or was it kind of rapid? Like, did you just wake up to
all of a sudden? Like the Facebook group thing kind of was gradual, of people posting the midpoint trigger warning scene and talking about how crazy it was. But then all of a sudden, I opened my phone and I literally had I'd sold 300 books in one day.
Oh,
and
wow.
That was unbelievable and insane to see. And yeah, so it happened all at once.
Did you refresh the page? Like, is that an error?
I thought it was a glitch.
Yeah. All right. I have George Reads. He says he gets a lot of recommendations from you. Are there any 70s, 80s horror film book references that we can find in your work?
Yeah, so my book, Hell, is all about the tropes of Italian horror films, specifically movies by Lucio Fulci and Dario Argento. And on March 20th, I've got a sequel, quote unquote, to it called Hell, City of the Killing Dead, which in true Italian fashion, it doesn't have anything to do with the first book. It's just its own story. Okay. But it's all about...
I'm excited for that one. I love zombies. I didn't realize that was a sequel.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a quote unquote sequel.
Okay. Yes.
Really, the only similarity is it's Troll 2 doesn't really have anything to do with the first Troll, and that's kind of what I wanted to do with the second Hell book. But it does have zombies. It's got demons.
Kira, that horror bish, she was asking which up-and-coming authors you've worked with for your anthologies that might be the next big thing.
It's really hard to tell, and I kind of feel like because I'm close friends to so many of the people that are in Scraps, it would be a bias almost for me to say that. I will say it's really awesome that Otis Bateman has taken off the way he has. There are people getting tattoos of his Maggot Girl character, and that's insane and incredible.
Really?
Yeah, it's wild. He sent me a picture of 2 different people had Maggot Girl tattoos. I'm like, that's so fucking cool. So yeah, I think he has a lot of potential to be the next big thing. Yeah, everybody who's in Scraps, I love them all so much. It's hard for me to choose. Stephanie E. Jensen is great. She has a fantastic voice. I'm excited to see more from her. Um, let's see, Harrison Phillips. I'm doing more work with him. We've got Night of the Bloody Tapes coming out, which is an anthology of novellas. So I'm looking forward to more eyes going on Harrison Phillips as well.
Perfect. Well, that was all the questions I got from the fans. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about your personal writing process. So you're doing it full time now. You wake up in the morning. Do you just start writing away, or?
Yeah, a lot of times I kind of have to leave the house to really write. There's a library that's a few blocks away, and I go there a lot. Go to coffee shops, things like that. For some reason, I think I like the pressure of feeling like there are people watching me. um, it sort of
Fair.
convinces me that I have to get work done when I feel that way.
Okay. Now, when you get an idea for a story, like for No One Rides, you said you had a dream, you woke up. Do you have a notebook beside your bed for like an idea? And then when you go to write the idea, do you kind of jot it out? Do you have a list, or do you free ball it? What's
Yeah, it
the
depends on the story.
Okay.
Every book kind of comes from somewhere different, and
Okay.
so a lot of books just take a different approach to writing. Like No One Writes for Free was based on a dream. I did jot it down. I put it in my phone on my notes app, and
Okay.
then the next day I like read through my notes. I was like, "What the fuck? This is a terrifying idea." Sometimes I've had to really plot books out just to make sure that I hit the beats that like I came up with when I had the idea. Um, a lot of times I'll do it by the seat of my pants and kind of see what happens, and those end up being the books that I'm really proudest of. Um, like Beast of Burden and Psych Word Blues were both kind of very much written in an emotional state, and I let the emotions guide those books rather than like sticking to a very strict outline.
Okay. Now, do you always know how a book's gonna end, or is it just sometimes here or there, or does it come to you as you're writing?
Usually it starts like the ending will be my main idea. And I think,
Okay.
oh, I'll have to sit down and like write to get to that point. But what I end up writing ends up altering the ending. So it's usually never what it starts off as going to be. And it becomes something
Interesting.
totally different. Yeah.
I like that.
Thank you.
Um, Now, do you know if it's going to be a novel, novella, short story when you start writing, or is that one of those things that kind of comes along as you're going, or you kind of have an idea what you're going for?
Usually I have an idea what I'm going
Okay.
for. Sometimes it's changed, but it's kind of rare when that's happened. But there's been a few times where like there was a novel that I wrote and I was nearing the end. I was just like, this is a piece of shit. This is the worst book I've ever written. But I really like that backstory I did for one of the characters, and I changed that backstory into its own independent short story. And so I had like
Okay.
200-page novel that got shortened into a 20-page short story, and I'm much happier with those 20 pages than I was with the 200 plus pages.
Now, is that just kind of the cost of writing, or do you ever look back and like, ah, damn, I wasted so much time, or
No, I'm of the philosophy that there's no such thing as like wasted writing. I think if you write something that doesn't go anywhere, then that's just practice for the next thing that you write.
do you have a big stack of things that will never see the light of day just for your
Oh yeah,
eyes only? Oh yeah.
yeah. There's a lot of files in my computer that I have it in my will that are going to be deleted when I die, so that nobody takes them and thinks, "Oh, these are the great like manuscripts of Judith Sonnet that we need to get out into the world." Like, no, they're shit. They're bad. They're not supposed to be read.
Yeah, so there won't be like 30 Lord of the Rings books in the
No,
Judith Sonnet world.
I'd be spinning in my grave if that happened.
Well, maybe that would be good inspiration for another writer. You go and haunt someone who didn't delete the books in your wallet.
Yeah, that would be funny.
If that becomes a story, I want to be in the front page. All right, well, we're kind of getting to the end of our time here. Are there any further thoughts you'd like to add to the horror community or about yourself or anything to get out into the world?
Just I appreciate everybody who takes the time to read my books and to discuss them. Again, I love divisive media, so it makes me happy to see people talking about my books, whether people love them or hate them. It just makes me happy to know that I've in some way given people a reason to talk, and I appreciate that a lot.
Perfect. Now, if anybody wanted to find you, more of you anywhere, find all your books, where can we find you? Where are they listed? Everything. Tell me.
I am on Facebook. If anybody wants to contact me and just talk about books and shit, I'm there. But my books are all listed on Amazon under Judith Sonnet, and I've got a few of them on godless.com.
Perfect. Well, I would like to personally thank you for pointing me in the direction of Some Damn Bookshop, because they were so helpful and kind of just giving me some stuff. And I've seen some stuff that I want to kind of keep my eye open for as well. And I have a couple recommendations from you, so thanks for that as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I love Some Damn Bookshop. That is one of my favorite stores on Instagram.
Yeah, I saw in his story that his or her,
It's her. Yeah.
Her dumpster rescue might have finally came to an end.
Yeah, that bums me out. I know it's such a shame when a physical bookstore closes, because so many of the books that they don't sell usually end up in the trash.
Yeah, the pictures she kept posting of the dump. Oh, that was depressing in itself.
Hurts my
Just
heart.
dumpster of books. Yeah. And she was pulling out some pretty cool stuff too.
Yeah.
I gotta say, yeah.
Support physical media, guys. Buy books.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you so much for. Oh,
they can't, delete a book when it's on your shelf.
I actually started collecting VHS because I heard that there was something 7,000 to 10,000 horror movies that never made the transition past VHS. I could be a little off on the number. But
yeah, there's a ton of them. Thankfully, there's really cool companies like Vinegar Syndrome, Severin, and Arrow Video who are putting a lot of these movies back on the market and giving them boutique physical releases. But still, there's a ton of movies out there that nobody's heard of.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming on. It's been a slice, and the technical difficulties are no issues at all. I could take that all out.
I hate technology so much. I'm just such a retro person. I don't understand how it works.
Yeah, you just push the tape in and then it starts. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Rewind it when you're over. That's much easier.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time, and keep writing. I'm so excited to see what else you're putting out.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Judith. Hey, everybody. That was my interview with the amazing Judith Sonnet. You may have noticed the technical issues. There's a couple jumpy parts. There's actually a couple of parts where I was hearing it. I remember her responses, but it didn't catch on the audio. So we had a bit of a microphone issue on Judith's end, and WebEx, the program I use for interviews, I've been having intermediate issues, not so much with recording, though it did come into play a little bit with my interview with Goshen, I believe it was that one. I don't know. Either way, I still think that we got a lot of great content. I had such a blast interviewing Judith. She was amazing and gave me some amazing horror recs, and I'm definitely going to check those out. You need to go and read her books. They're disgusting and vile and amazing. I personally love the way she's able to really flesh out characters, like I said, in a short amount of time. I've only read a couple, but I do have one upstairs, and I'm going to read a couple more. Definitely excited for Hell. As Judith said, you can find her across the board at social media platforms at Fulltime Horror Junkie, Facebook, Instagram. And if you go on Amazon and search Judith Sonnet, all of her books are there. Me, you can find me at the Nerdyverse of Madness.ca. All the links to the socials are there, where you'll catch my blog. Subscribe to it, and please subscribe and rate to this podcast. It really helps with visibility. It allows me to keep doing this. I have a ton of fun. Even with technical issues, I was laughing about it. It was all good. It's always a great time, and I would love to keep doing this, and that will help with that. Anyways, I got a really fun one planned for next week. I know I say that every time, but I do. Anyways, till next time, peace.
That is all for today, but what kind of discussions will the one and only Jonny Ward get himself into next time? Will he discover a new collection to spend all his money on, or something to read for the next year and get depressed when it's done? Find out next time on the Nerdyverse of Madness.